Thanks for joining us for another episode of Mid-American Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and joining me in the studio today are two of our faves. We've got Marty and Kay in the house. So quickly introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you, because we have lots to talk about today. So we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Marty Alanya. I'm basically retired landscaper. I've done a lot of just small yards, but I specialize really probably in perennials, trees, and shrubs.
Wonderful. All right, Kay.
I'm Kay Carnes. I'm a Champaign County Master Gardener, and my area of expertise is herbs and all things herbs and other plants as well.
All right.
Seed saving.
Speaking of seeds, that's an excellent segue. So yesterday
is.
I was making chili. I'm cutting peppers, and you know, the gardener in me decided, oh my gosh, free seeds. You know, what can I do with these? Can they grow? Can I grow more? And these were from green peppers. So I put them in a little baggie, and I brought them in to ask the experts. And so we were talking a little bit before, and I've already learned some stuff I didn't know. So there are the seeds. And that's maybe half of what were in the green pepper. So I wanted to ask you ladies, can I plant these? Will they be viable? Can I grow myself more green pepper?
Well, probably not if they're from a green pepper, because green peppers are not ripe peppers.
Okay.
So the seeds have not had enough time to ripen to germinate. So if you had a red pepper or a yellow pepper, you might be able to get the seeds. Also, so many of these are hybrids, and so they may not even,
Gotcha.
even if they do germinate, you don't know what you're going to get.
Wah, wah.
But it's a good try.
It was. I was so excited. I thought, no, that'll save me $3 or $4 on a pack of
I know.
seeds. But
We're getting desperate at this
doggone
time of
it.
the year.
Orange, is orange another one that you
Orange,
so
orange
just
is
not the
ripe.
green one.
And
Yellow is
purple.
ripe.
Because
I forgot about purple.
all of those start green.
Mm-hmm.
All green peppers are just
All ripe.
premature. They're teenage peppers. That's what they are.
That's why they won't
And
work.
they don't have the nice flavor that a ripe pepper has, either sweetness.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, there you have it. So if you're cutting, making chili at your house with green peppers, pitch them, because it's a no-go.
Well, also that's why the peppers that are not green, that are other colors, cost more because they take longer to mature.
More
They
work.
get them to they get them to maturity. They have to stay in the field longer, and they have to be picked a little more delicately, because by the time they're ripe, they're not quite as tough and able to withstand beatings like green peppers can.
Gotcha.
Bounce around, they're tender because they're ripe, like
Okay.
a green peach and a ripe peach.
Well, these are going to the compost. And speaking of compost,
Speaking of compost,
just full of segues today.
we have a question
Yes.
about, we never get this question, never. We have a lady on here who says that her soil is ridiculously fertile. Now, you've just made an enemy of our entire viewing audience.
Let me read it real quick. Shelley Friedrich writes in, I've been meaning to send this in since the fall. My soil is crazy, period. I've lived in this house for 13 years, and everything I plant goes nuts. This picture, and she sent one in, is of one volunteer tomato. She planted cucumbers a couple of years ago, and they just completely took over. She wants to know if there's anything that maybe the previous owners did in this area that has just made this soil extremely fertile. So this is a good problem to have, unless it's
Indeed.
weedy, but
Unless it's weedy, but apparently her plant material does what we all wish our plant material, that it grows so robustly that weeds don't have a chance, and they get shaded out. I hate you, Shelley. Okay. Probably, Kay and I were discussing this, and whoever was there before her probably amended the soil, because if that house, I don't know how old the house is, but nowadays they scrape that nice black topsoil off, and then they want to sell it back to you. So if you're building a house, tell them not to scrape that off and take it. Tell them you bought that real estate and that topsoil comes with it, and it used to be a very productive bean field.
yeah, or they'll give you
So,
clay.
yes.
Bring
yes,
back clay.
They'll bring back fill dirt. So you tell the contractor, you pile that up over here, because that's where the tomatoes are growing later. And then when you're done with the house, we're going to put some of that back around there again. So my contractor tried it too. Wah, wah. So Yeah, but amending the soil. And that's,
Composting.
yeah.
But you would
composting.
think after a few years it would, go not be as fertile. That's
True.
what the mystery is with this.
She
Yeah.
said for
that it's
13
every
years.
year.
Yeah.
13 years, everything has gone
So-
crazy in that spot.
She stumped the panel.
I'm guessing that they maybe did save the good black Illinois topsoil. Thank you, glaciers, and they put it back around the house. But you can also amend. I mean, they probably started with good soil, but even when you start with poor soil, you can still amend it. Composting. We were talking about composting earlier, and if you need compost, I happen to own a compost factory, so you can contact me on Facebook Messenger if you'd like to. I have some horses, so they digest things pretty well. I use it on my garden. We bed on sawdust, so the most you might want to change is adding some acid, maybe some cottonseed meal or something like that. But yeah, it's
I
ready to
can't even
use.
get my bin to turn right now. It's
No.
frozen solid. I
Yeah.
can't get anything in there, but when it thaws out,
Yeah.
I'll give it a nice quick stir.
Yeah.
Do you use compost in your flowers, garden, everything? Do
Everything.
you use it on everything?
Everything.
What difference does it make, truly? Like, is it better than store-bought plant food?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The gravitational pull of the planet is because the planet's the same size all the time. Okay. So nothing we've made or constructed or thought of didn't come from
doesn't
elements that we
contain.
have on the Earth. See? So ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Okay. You die, you turn into dirt. Okay. That's why it stays the same size. You know, we might spin out of orbit if you started throwing stuff out. Now stop doing that. Okay, don't do that. If you have me yard. Anyway, compost. It's things that have broken down, different elements. Also, horses are vegetarian, for you vegans out there. You know, just like carrot peels, only later. And all of this stuff breaks down, and it brings nutrients with it that the soil doesn't have. And that's why the soil is so nice when you scratch back the pine needles under your pine tree, or when you go down into the woods and the leaf litter is this thick. And it's beautiful underneath there. It's crumbly. The soil structure is better. Those things breaking down don't just collapse together like mud. You know, the soil structure is improved. It has, because soil has to have air in it for you to grow anything. It's not just the water. You have to have a good soil structure for air to be down to the roots as well. They need water, but they don't need water all the time. Most things don't, anyway. So yeah, compost is just when things break down. They turn back to dirt.
And they're full of the good stuff.
That's right. That's right. You know, there's not the same chemical structure in tomatoes as there is in pine needles. There's not the same chemical structure in oak leaves as there is in shrimp shells. You know, you can put those in, by the way.
Interesting. Kay,
So,
do you compost?
Yes, but it's kind of.
What kind of question is that? It's Kay Carnes.
I have a pile behind this in the back part of our property, and that's where all my food scraps. And it's nothing
Gotcha.
fancy. I just keep dumping them,
Yep.
and underneath
Oh.
there's this nice compost.
Indeed.
But I have to dig that out.
Yeah.
But
This time of year, though, you just kind of leave it be, and
Oh,
do
yeah.
you turn? I mean, well, it's frozen now, but when it thaws,
Yeah.
do you turn it, or do you just sort of leave it until spring?
I leave it.
Leave
I
it.
leave it
You
too.
Why
do?
would I want to be out in 7-degree weather trying to?
Well,
I just don't. But right now is a perfect time to put compost, like composted horse manure, or other compost that you can put it on your garden now. Particularly composted
gotcha.
horse manure. Heck, you could put fresh manure on there right now.
If you're just itching to get outside, there is
Because
something.
it's got, if you can't stand your fingers being warm, do it. So, put them on the garden. And by the time you're going to plant things, it'll be broke down.
Excellent.
It freezes and thaws, and it's really, the spring. That's what happens. That's what happens in the woods. That's what happens in your yard.
Okay, excellent. All right, you brought a plant for us. Let's talk about it.
I do. This is a marjoram plant, which is another tender perennial. It's a little pale because it's been in the east window and it doesn't get a lot of sun, but it's obviously doing well. Marjoram is kind of like oregano, but it's got a different flavor to it.
Okay.
But you can use it. It's really great for meats, putting on meat, and for soups, and for tomato sauce.
Can you use it fresh or does it have to be
You
dried?
can use it fresh or dried. It doesn't matter.
Does that change the flavor profile if it's
It
fresh?
probably drying usually makes them more stronger flavor because it takes out the moisture,
Gotcha.
so it's a little bit stronger. But somewhere in here,
I see you had a little bit of flour on
yeah,
on the
there's a
top there, I see a
little
flower.
dried flower right there.
Now,
So
does it get bitter after it blooms sometimes,
No.
like the others? So there's some
No,
other
not
herbs that
really.
you don't want to. Okay.
it's a pretty amazing plant.
That's
It's got some medicinal properties too. That
Okay.
are,
Do you keep it just as a house plant or do you plant it out? in
well,
the,
this was planted, and when the weather warms up, I'll put it
and you'll
back
put it
out
back
in the
outside?
garden.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. Okay.
So-
All right, back to, let's see, let's do a question. This is from Mary Klusky. She says she's got moss that is still growing on the east side of her house, and she likes it, but says it's slippery, and you can see it here. It's growing on some stepping stones in her yard. And so she's kind of flirting with the idea of keeping it and or getting rid of it. So if she was to get rid of it, ladies, how would you eradicate moss? Because we know if you just scrape it and leave, it'll come right back. So what are some things that she can do?
Well, the vinegar, a vinegar mix would kill it off, but then you still have to scrape off, the residue.
Yeah, we were talking about initially definitely scraping it off. Scrape off what you have that you don't want, and then treat the concrete with the vinegar or vinegar and salt. Or what was the other one? Bleach.
Bleach.
Do
Yes, a
bleach.
bleach solution.
I'm not going to guarantee that it won't come back because that's where it likes to live. You're
So-
going to have to get every bit of it off of that little edging and everything.
I was going to say, is
But
that something that she would probably have to do often, you think?
what is the date on that note? Do you know?
I don't, but it was recent because I
Oh, it
can see
was
there's
recent,
snow.
okay.
I can see the snow on the ground.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it was
that's right.
within the
Okay.
last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Um,
Because I was wondering, I'm like, well, if it's, and I looked at the picture, I didn't even notice the snow.
now, I mean, it could be within a week or two, but
Sure.
now I wonder if with the deep freeze that we've had, if it's
Yeah.
still there. But do you think that's something that she would have to do often to come back and kind of retreat that forever
Probably.
because the moss just sort of naturally likes that area?
Yeah,
Okay.
grows where it likes. You know what you have? A microclimate.
Ooh, that parlays right into the next question.
It does.
All right, Jenny Davis Reinhardt writes in, with the new USDA zone maps, I've been reading a little bit into microclimates in yards. How do you determine where they are most likely to be located? And I've got my eye on a couple of Zone 6 roses. So we are zoned in central Illinois, Champaign County, where we are. We were moved to 6A. From 5B, I believe, right? Am I right? So what does that mean for us? Does that mean we can grow different things that we couldn't grow?
Yeah,
You can try.
yeah. It's still going to get -10.
Yeah, you know. A microclimate, Jenny, is like a place that stays extra sunny, extra shady, extra wet, or extra dry.
As compared to everyone around you?
Everyone else,
Okay.
yeah. There's a better smattering of all of those elements, but in a microclimate, like the inside corner of a house. Okay, so say you have a house and it's just a rectangular house, but then you've got a little inset where the porch is, and there's a little, you
Little
got a little inset. Yeah, you got a little inside corner instead of the outside corners like on the other parts of the house. That little inset is going to be a microclimate of some kind. It'll either be shadier. If it's a sunny exposure, it'll be extra warm because it'll hold heat because it's got two walls to collect heat. Or maybe it's a place that's extra dry because there's a covering over it. Mary's got moss growing on the east side of her house on concrete. It's a perfect spot for moss. And the moss just finds it. I wouldn't mind moss. I'd take moss over Creeping Charlie every day of the week. But what are you going to do?
So with our
So-
zone changing, though, on a serious note, because she asked about these roses,
Yeah.
like
If
Kay
you-
said, it's still going to freeze, but you know, what does that mean for us that we've moved a little bit? The
Yeah.
needle's moved.
It's a little warmer, and like I said, if you have even a south-facing wall, particularly like a brick wall, is going to be a microclimate if it gets a lot of sun. Some places the south yard is shady, but typically, if you have a south-facing wall and it catches a lot of sun, that's a microclimate. It's going to stay warmer, particularly if it's brick or stone, than the other parts of the house. Or even the part that gets full sun is going to stay warmer than the part where a tree shades it even a little bit. So you have to just think about the exposure. Does rain get there, or is your overhang too wide?
Okay.
Or you can create a microclimate with maybe a trellis or something to create more shade, or a wind block, or something like that. You can create a little space that stays a little wetter, or stays a little shadier, or stays a little hotter.
Gotcha.
If you don't just already have one somewhere.
Kay, would you gamble on Zone 6 roses?
On what?
What Zone 6 roses? Would you try? Would you give them a go?
I would.
Be worth a try. You know, it may work, it may not. That's part of gardening.
That's part of gardening.
It's
All
one
right.
big experiment.
Yeah.
Every year. Okay, Jenny, we say get the roses and just see what you get.
And for sure, protect them mightily in the winter, especially if they're a little extra tender. Put a cage around them so the rabbits don't chew them completely down.
The old rabbits.
Hello, rabbits. You're edible.
My next question. So I'm restless, right? We all are. I'm growing microgreens in the house. I just wanted to show these really quickly. I got these for $1. I've got them growing on my kitchen counter. They've been, I started them on, it's been about 3 days. So the picture that I took, I'm sorry, I'm not good at this. The picture that I took is the bowl of microgreens that are in my kitchen, just for me to look at and munch on and remember that spring is coming. So this is just one of those things that it's, you can just walk by and grab some and go, oh, okay, I'll make it. So in going through my seed collection, I found all of the things that I had left over from last year before I order new. So I wanted to ask the experts if it's okay to plant last year's leftovers. So I've got watermelon, I've got beans, I've got peas. Are there certain seeds that you can use after? Because they always say packaged by or sell by or used by, and we all know that's marketing.
It says that on milk,
bean-
too, but
Yeah.
it's a lie.
Just drink
It's
it
a
till
lie.
it's chunky,
That's
right?
right.
Just kidding.
Bean
Those-
seeds last forever.
Beans last forever.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've got 10-year-old bean seeds that germinate.
Really?
At least.
So it depends. Yeah.
And these did really well last year for me. That's why I hung on to them. So, yay. So that'll
Yeah.
save me some money. So
know,
what I
yeah.
didn't get to save on these, I'll get to save on these.
You know what, darling? You can just go ahead and try those. and
Yeah,
let us know
I
how
would.
it-
You can
Let's
try 'em.
let you know
There
how it
you
works
go.
out.
That's
Okay.
right.
But are there seeds that don't hold up particularly well? Any that you can think of that, if you just got them and
I've had peppers and tomato seeds. I will guarantee you I've got some tomatoes. I have a really small garden. It's a small vegetable garden. Any excess we'll freeze or can, but it's just the two of us. I mean, I'm happy to give things away, but I don't want to take
that's a
any
lot of
more
space.
care
Yeah.
than I have to, right? So a package of seeds will last me quite a bit because most things that are tender, I also start early. And if I want 6 of these kind of tomato plant, I plant 6 seeds. If they're a little puny, I plant 2 in that one. But I don't plant them right together because when they germinate and they come up and this one's like, yeah, this is horrible, goodbye. Then the other one,
Survival of the
he
fittest.
gets the whole peat square. He's so happy. But yeah, you can, and you've old seeds. You can just do the wet paper towel test on them.
Yeah.
Just
Okay, tell us that.
dampen them. Get a paper towel, dampen it, squeeze out the excess moisture, put seeds in it, fold it over, put it in a plastic bag so it stays damp. Put it in a warm place, see if they germinate.
I like it.
Actually, that's how I start some of my, like tomato and
Just to see
pepper
what
set.
will go. and-
Yeah, I'll put
That's a
'em-
really great idea.
The germination rate is going to fall as the seed gets older, likely. But
There's no sense in just buying more when you still have.
I am not John Bodensteiner. I do not buy a packet of seeds and, go merrily on my way as Johnny Tomato Seed. I want 4.
And that's it.
I have room for like a dozen tomato plants, so I have to be selective. Also, there's a lot of local individuals who raise tomato plants and peppers and eggplant. They do spring starts. I try to seek them out and buy plants
Yeah.
from them.
Yeah, that's a great idea
Then
too.
I don't have to give up my space on my counter. They've got little greenhouses. You go.
Just eliminate that whole first step entirely.
I'll buy a $3 or $4 tomato plant off of you times more than I have space for because I'm an idiot. I
Last
can't.
question. I came full of questions today, you guys.
You're awesome.
So I've been threatening my family to save all jugs,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to try toilet paper roll / paper towel rolls inside here. And I wanted to ask you about this, just to keep them organized. So I'm talking about winter sowing. So what we would do is, and stop me if I'm wrong, we would cut this jug along here, but not completely off. Save some so it'll be a little flippy guy, right? And then soil in the bottom, put your seeds in. This would be your vent for days that it gets really warm and sunny. You don't want to cook the plants, but it gives them a natural start outside in the cold weather, so you don't have to worry about starting seeds in the house. How'd I do? Did I do
Great.
okay? Okay.
Where are you? I didn't think that's what you were going to go with that.
You did it?
No, I thought you were saving them for putting around your early sets.
Oh no! Well, that's good too.
That's
so
what I do.
cutting the bottom out and just
Yeah.
plopping them over the ones in the ground.
You
That's
cut the
after you
bottom out.
plant them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I save milk jugs and juice jugs and anything like that. Even soda bottles, but I try to get the green ones for and milk jugs that are opaque. These are fine for starting, like you're thinking about doing. But in the spring, sometimes the sun gets pretty hot, and those hold the ones that are green or white will hold the heat. And they, dig down in the ground a little bit. You don't have to worry about the paper towel cord because the cutworms won't climb over the plastic. But I cut out like even I leave the handle. I cut out here, all the way up. But this is slightly before it's warm enough for them to go.
Yes.
So I cut that out.
We need folks to start saving their trash, though. That's the
Yeah.
only reason I want to
Save
do
it away. That's it.
Dig them out of the garbage.
So you cut the bottom out, you put it down over the plant, and then it is open all the time, but I also then mulch around them with straw.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
I don't fluff my straw. Straw will come off, and hay also, off the bale in a thing called a flake. It's a flake of straw. It's a little flat section, about that thick. I lay those on. I just lay them on the soil. And they're thick, they're denser. Weeds will not grow through them. They might grow between them if you're unlucky, but they won't go through. When I plant potatoes in a row, and then I put flakes of hay buttered right up against one another, right over the top, or not hay, straw, flakes of straw. And then the potatoes will come up through that little crease, but holds this moisture like
Moisture
nobody's
in,
business.
weeds
Yeah,
out.
and it doesn't blow around.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So the rolls, the toilet paper and paper towel rolls, this is where they would come into play. This is my thinking. if I stacked them in the bottom of this and then planted the seeds individually in the rolls, when they're ready to go into the ground, I can just pop those out, pop them out of the tube, and boom, and they go kind of like in a nursery style. What do you think? I'm really bored.
You must be.
I'm ready to garden so bad.
Because I'm thinking
Yeah, we all are.
the toilet paper rolls, I mean, they're
You know what
gonna-
I'm saying? If
Yeah.
I stood them up
Yeah.
and started the seeds down in them, and then I
Well,
could just pop them out.
I'm thinking maybe a half a toilet paper
Okay.
roll.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
no
or
more
even
than 3
a
inches
little-
because they'll be too tall and the seeds won't
Gotcha.
get
Yeah,
moved.
they'll
Yeah.
get-
So I was on
be
the right
leggy.
track.
Yeah, they'll be strong.
So maybe
you know,
just
reaching
even
for the
a
light.
third of it.
Got it.
Yeah.
See, I was
You're
in
in
the
there.
neighborhood.
You're in there.
I was in the neighborhood.
Definitely.
Well, it's a good
idea.
You're in a church, just gotta
all
find
of
the
my
pew.
questions
That's
today.
it.
Hopefully you're as eager as I am to get back outside and get to gardening.
Does it show?
Seed catalogs are rolling in. We are getting there, people. So hang in. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming in today. I had fun as usual.
Always.
And thank you for watching. If you've got questions, you can send them in to us at yourgarden@gmail.com, or you can look for us on Facebook or Instagram. Just search Mid-American Gardener, and we will see you next time. Good night.